Greetings, fellow citizens of Disneyland. Welcome to today's Disney Design Walkthrough Tour, which is none other than Cars Land, aka Radiator Springs. You may ask yourself, Brickey, have you lost your Disneyland mind? You are clearly not standing in Cars Land, nowhere near Radiator Springs. Well, I wanted to start out today's video with a little bit of history, and that this right here, the Santa Rosa Seed Shop, this was originally a structure when DCA opened with Bountiful Farms, which is the land that sat on the land where Cars Land is now. Santa Rosa was a little store where you could buy seeds and various different souvenirs, t-shirts, whatnot. But this building right here was the premier store for the Bountiful Farms land. When that land would get transitioned over to Bugs Land, it would become the flea market. When Bountiful Farms would go away to make room for Bugs Land, it would then become the flea market because it was right on the edge of Bugs Land. However, when Cars Land came about, it was time for Santa Rosa to go bye-bye. And instead of completely giving up on this structure, they took it and moved it to the edge of Paradise Gardens. They moved it on this outer edge of DCA. So next time you walk by here, you could remind your friends that they are near a little piece of old school Cars Land. Currently used for meet and greets. You can see out front there's a puppeteer with Coco after he drank the cocoa and became a boy from the skeleton. But you can see that the building is primarily used for meet and greets throughout different festivals and for the holiday season. While there's no one in here, we can look at its beautiful decor. And I love that this edge of the park has become a place during the holidays and many festivities that pays to the rich, rich Spanish heritage of Southern California. Love it so much that this is just such a cultural spot of DCA and of Disneyland. Love seeing the Mexican influence take over the back end of the park. How great is that? However, while we're this far away from Radiator Springs, let's keep in mind that there are other subtle tie-ins to Cars Land this far away. As in, we come up through this opening and you can see what appears to look like an old school beachside lighthouse. When DCA originally opened in 2001, it was all themed around California. An interesting move for a theme park located inside of California. Nonetheless, that's what they decided to do. And this Seaside Souvenirs was originally a Route 66 themed souvenir shop. So the original Route 66 of DCA resided right here, which would look embarrassing today because of the new standard of an actual Route 66 built over in Cars Land. Wanted to start today's designer walkthrough tour with a little history because I feel like sometimes Disneyland is so celebrated for its rich history that people can forget that DCA has a history of its own. Not always beautiful and poetic as Disneyland's, but a work in progress, the locals park, the underdog park, that I fell more in love with over the last set of months, as this was the only Disney experience that you could get your hands on here in Southern California. Now let's move over to the real thing. Now one gentle stroll through DCA's spine later on the performance corridor, we find ourselves on the edge of the very loud Radiator Springs, where right behind me is where the Santa Rosa Seed Supply was located. So imagine that octagon building being right here on the edge. Somewhere general in this proximity. I wasn't a Disneylander in 2001, so its exact location predates my time. I was born in 2011, if you catch my drift. But it's interesting to think that that's sit here, and I love that they moved it further into the park. DCA, a newer park, doesn't have quite that rich history, so we have to celebrate the history that we can find. Let's begin our designer walkthrough tour through Radiator Springs. The iconic poster of Cars Land almost didn't show up here because they were going to build what looked to be the front end of an old antique car that would sit out here erected in stone with a geyser possibly of water that would go off. As we cruise back over to the other side of the road, we can see that the newest neighbor in town is rearing its head over the top of the edge of the park. And it's going to be fascinating as time goes by. Does Disneyland, DCA, do they put trees in here to cover up the edge of what we're able to see there? Because this is the location of the flying Spider-Man. So are they worried about sight lines from land to land as kids roll around on tractors and see a flying stuntmatronic Spider-Man through the sky? It'll be interesting to see how all that evolves. And don't forget, I will be here live on June 4th for the opening of Avengers Campus. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, because every time I'm at the park, I do a live stream, and I will definitely be in a live stream on that day to give everyone a window into the magic. As we step over to Fillmore's, it is still closed, still just being used as a recreational area of leisure where you can see people hanging out and taking it easy, which is a great use. I will be sad when everything comes back online. I mean, I'll be excited when it all comes back online, but it will be sad when we lose so many great relaxing spots. Something new that is developed, I have never seen Tomater take over this spot in DCA as a meet and greet spot. Works really, really well here in this little pulled out area, which I have to say, when you look at that tight fit, it's as if they knew this was going to happen and they made it just the width of one of their cars to go in there.
I just knowed you was going to be here.
And it's very cool to see him just right across from his attraction, making some nice storytelling connections and making this land feel even more as if it's inhabited by cars. As we cruise through Radiator Springs, I think something that is just so hard to ignore is how this land is beautifully themed, and I say the first in a trilogy of lands designed around hyper-realistic theming, using tons of rock work, using tons of the skills of Walt Disney Imagineering to give the idea of a transformative experience that you have actually gone into one of the lands that you love from one of these major franchises. I say Cars Land is the first modern attempt at this, quickly followed by Avatar and Pandora out at Animal Kingdom and Walt Disney World. And then lastly, the grand finale, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And over the seasons, as we come in here and check out all the details of Cars Land, I've got lots of ways to compare what we see here with what we got inside of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Now, it does look like they've taken out the character meet and greet in front of the old motel here, which would have given us a great chance to look through the windows, but a family has just grabbed the table in front of the window. And my rule with filming at the park is I should never interfere with anybody's Disneyland experience. I try very, very hard to steer clear of all the guests and make sure that what I'm doing doesn't ruin Disneyland for anyone else. Let's try it from the backside where it's a bit noisier. But yeah, we're getting too much reflection from this side. Oh well. We were minutes away from having the perfect spot. That's just how it goes at Disneyland. It's a living, breathing thing that you got to be quick on your toes. All right, let's pop around the backside here. You can see there's still a lot of that Mickey-colored chairs sprinkled around this part of Radiator Springs. to give lots of more seating while we're still in this socially distant era in DCA's history. But this is further than we were able to go during Touch of Disney. We can go past the old rope. Coming soon, we'll be able to go on the other side of the barricade there. But now as we come around, you can see that fully accessible is this little area on the backside of Luigi's Roadsters, which, if you notice, we just went past a very, very long line for. But this is my first look, friends, of the new back facade, which is just amazing from this direction. I've only ever been able to see it from over there during Touch of Disney for the 5 weeks that we did the Sunset live stream. But now to be able to see it from this side, it really tells a great story. And right off the bat, my first reaction is I love how this sight line is level with that ridge. So it's almost like a straight wall, like a vanishing point that just wraps around you. And then of course you can see the 175-foot tall Cadillac Range mountaintop over the backside of it. But this is covering up a cast member facility. And if I'm correct in my knowledge, the reason why they put this cast member building there, when at some point Avengers Campus will probably surround it on this side, why would they use this for Backstage when Disneyland and DCA is so starved for more footprint? Well, it's because below where the Roadsters are, there is a massive basement that is the size of this footprint. And that basement was used for all of the mechanisms for the floating tires. With that attraction being removed and having that empty space, Disney trying to be efficient, they decided that they could use this for cast members' facilities, but they would need a building to enter it. So basically imagine a horizontal L where there is space being used underneath us and then a building behind us. That's how it was told to me, why this came to be about. But that wall back there is so much better than just the trees that we had. It really, really extends the story of Radiator Springs. And I love that it's brand new and it has all that healthy patina in it, where the logos look washed out, just as if we are cruising down the real Route 66 and seeing all of that distress. Here on the edge of Cars Lane, you can also see that there is a pet relief area, and that good boy is going to go do his good business over there in the edge. Friends, coming up at the end of this week, I'll be doing a designer walk tour for Avengers Campus, looking at everything that we can see now and getting ready to celebrate what is coming next. Next week will be Avengers Campus all week long on the channel, and I'll be live at the park on that Friday for its grand opening. So make sure to subscribe to the channel to catch that live stream and those videos. Next week, we'll be breaking down all the design of the upcoming Avengers Campus. But right now, we got a bit more of Radiator Springs to walk through and discover. You can see this massive line right here. As of right now, it is a windy day and I apologize. As of right now, there is no indoor lining up for attractions. So all of these guests are lined outside. Then they will get permission to breeze through the building to then go ride on the Rollickin' Roadsters. All right, let's walk down to the very edge of the town of Radiator Springs. Where these storefronts, man oh man, not only is the typography great, not only is the detailing fantastic, but the stickers, right? Like the real association looking stickers that add so much to the story. And we can come right up here to the edge. Can we get into this little spot? And then we have the beautiful mural that you can get in here right now. This is a great quiet spot even though Lightning McQueen is a loud, loud neighbor.
Careful of the wax. I just got detailed. See you over at Radiator Springs Racers.
Radiator Springs Racers, 85-minute wait. Life is feeling very normal. Here is the founder of this great land. But I don't know if you're aware of this. This area in here was the original Fast Pass distribution. Although, as you can see, the popularity of this ride makes it back up, and therefore, putting the Fast Pass, people trying to get the Fast Pass next to people trying to get into the attraction, created a lot of bottlenecking. But for the first time, we can step just over here to the edge and get a good view into the edge of Radiator Springs. I'm not going to go too far because I probably don't want people going up the exit like we used to be allowed to back in the day. But I just want to point out that this is the same ride technology as Test Track out in Epcot, from which I hear is a phenomenal ride. But just look how this storytelling and theming takes that ride and transitions it into something that is spectacular, something not to miss. And something that has just become the flagship of this park. It's not always the ride. That's important. Not going to deny that. But the theming around the ride, the story that it tells, Radiator Springs is living proof that the technology will get you halfway there, but the facade, the design, the tender loving care, the design details, that'll get you the rest of the way there. This ride, a perfect attraction, setting up a 3-story arc. Like every film that we love, like every good book, the attraction's divided up into 3 chapters of its story, which just make it such a fun attraction. The first time you ride it, you're never quite sure where you're going the next time. And then every time after that, you just love it and love it more and more. I never tire of it. I always love in Disneyland where the streets have names. We are standing at the corner of Route 66 and Cross Street. Looks like they've got this area slightly roped off. You might remember back in the day when DJ would come parked in here, play some music and have a dance party where the little ones could dance around. And friends, don't forget that every night at sunset, the sunset according to like weather.com, the moment that the sun is officially down, that they do a lighting ceremony where they play Shaboom, and the neon begins up at the town hall and slowly works its way down all of the buildings until all of Radiator Springs' beautiful neon is fully illuminated. It is such a fun little nighttime thing to catch. It does take patience, and it is to the T on when the sun sets, but it is such a fun little thing to do if you're able to make it. If you go watch my Touch of Disney live streams, we caught it 4 out of 5 weeks. Our 5th and final week, it just failed and did not happen. Here you see this lengthy spillover of line for Radiator Springs. This Racers is just such a great ride. And man, oh man, I have never seen this before. But that would be because we're no longer allowed to go through the interior areas, and also still now in Southern California and all of California, we have to stay 6 feet apart from one another. So yeah, definitely strange times where it's hard to capture all of this beauty. But let's hope that when we do our designer walkthrough tour for Radiator Springs for summer of 2021, that we see something that looks much different. There you go, friends, standing from the edge of a very long line that actually goes outside of the cross street entrance of Radiator Springs. That was our designer walkthrough tour for spring 2021 of Cars Land, that I started very far away, giving you the history of this land because I'm getting so excited about Avengers Campus opening up Next week on the channel will be all Avengers Campus news, so make sure to subscribe so that you can see all that coverage as well as the live streams from opening day to see that flying Spider-Man go across the sky. And I will try to shoot it from Cars Land just to see how those two neighbors play together. Friends, thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, let me know what you think about that little spillover from Avengers into Radiator Springs. I want to thank Club 1313 for making today's video possible. If you want to support the content, if you want to become a part of the conversation, become a part of the channel, make sure you head over to club1313.com and become a member today. And until the next time I see you, hopefully standing in a much, much smaller line to ride those Radiator racers, I'll see you back here on the channel with more Disneyland updates. Thank you so much for watching.